Okay, Joey here. This is just one of my bizarre Christmas presents from my stepdaughter, I guess you'd call her. But anyhow, I want to do some stash ads and some updates on some stuff. Don't know if I showed you this one, but I don't even remember where I picked this up. Whether it was a thrift store or a something left over at the hobby shop. Not a big fan of this, but I got a good deal on it, so I bought one. Picked up this at a local thrift store. It's pretty much all there. It seems like somebody painted some of this. Like, see, but it doesn't look painted. See, it's got, you see the swirls. I don't ever remember it being molded in this translucent purple. Either that or somebody sprayed it with a thin, transparent purple color. It's really hard to tell. See, because even the flash is painted here. And I don't see no color of any other sort on the edges. So it looks like it was molded in this color. Now, as you know, some of you model guys know that the recent Cameo version of these cabs has the problem where the window falls through the windshield opening because either the window's too small or the windshield opening's too big. This one doesn't have that problem, but this is an early edition, and I don't know if you could see the problem on these. The real truck doesn't have a sloped sill. It comes down further and goes straight across. So, I know in later editions they fixed that. So this is obviously an earlier edition cab. So either I gotta fix it or just don't even bother and find another one. But, I mean, it's one of those ones I got at a thrift store for next to nothing. So, you know, I really don't care. I mean, whether I build it or not. But yeah, that's not supposed to be sloped. That was a flaw in them from day one. Picked up this. Yeah, it's an out of proportion kit. Blah, blah, blah. I get that. But it is a nostalgia kit from my youth. I built quite a few of these, the orange and the white one. I may have shown this in another video, I'm not sure. But it does come with two hood scoops. The snorkel, which I love, and then the Mopar scoop. And it still has everything else, but it's added some decals, like for, I think the gauges and the emblems and stuff, which it didn't have back in the day. So I may do something with that. I may not. But for that price, I picked up another one of these. I got two of these now. Again, I don't know if I put this in a video or not. I know I put the first one I got, but this is the second one. It was one of the few things left at Ollie's. And I have a lot of the older tractors. And nice thing about this, it's a generic tractor, but it can be built long, short, or a flatbed, long or short. So you got like a few options to build it. So it may get built. I picked up this the other day at the local hobby shop. I had this a couple times, but I think I built slot car versions out of it and sold the body. It is a cool kit, so I had to have it. So I got another one to add to my collection of model kits. Picked up this at a local thrift store. The Cabriolet, in other words, convertible. I don't know why they give it a fancy name, but they do. It's the old Revell kit. The 1/25th scale version. You can see it was molded in a couple colors. It was molded in Newport green and white. They call this Newport green, which, yeah, it's kind of a green. Looks totally different on camera than it does in real. It's not even close, but yeah, it's kind of a minty sherbetish green. Picked up one of these, even though this is about to be reissued. I'm not sure what edition or what year this is, because they didn't really mark years on these. But it's molded in white. Again, not a car I'm crazy about, or a, era I'm crazy about, but it was reasonably priced, so I got it. Yeah, I haven't made a video in a while, so I figured it was time to throw a quick video in there. I'm not going to be too long-winded here. I got this. I already picked up one of these. I showed it in one of my last videos, but I was in the hobby shop today and Tom made me a deal on it because he goes, he ordered too many of them. So I got it for 25 bucks. You know, they're normally like 32 or whatever there, so parts or whatever. Or make a slot car body out of it and sell it. Okay, and then I got this. I never thought I'd buy one of these, but currently on Facebook Lucas E channel, there's a group build starting on the 1st. So I haven't done nothing with it. I just opened it. And anybody who builds models knows what a crappy kit this is. I had it back in the 80s when it was issued. And I never built it. And by what I heard, it's gotten worse, the fit. Like, you got to modify this and modify that and to fit the grill, and just a lot of stuff is off. Worst offense I had back in the 80s, it was blue on the box also. The old MPC box from mid-80s. MPC at the time really got into tinting windows. And when you got a kit, it might be slightly smoked, maybe not smoked at all, sometimes medium smoked, and then sometimes so dark it looked like welding glass. And that's what I had. Mine was so dark, I mean, you could watch an eclipse with it. And the other worst thing about the kits back then, a lot of the MPC kits in the mid-late-ish 80s, the chrome would literally wear off just touching it. You'd test fit a bumper, pull your finger away, and you'd see the blue underneath, the blue plastic. The chrome was horrible, so I never built it. Well, however, somebody suggested, since this is such a crappy kit, excuse me, and so is the 70 and 72 GTOs, that we're going to have a group build, and it starts the 1st of January and goes to like, I think July sometime, June or July, to see what you could do with one of these. You know, I mean, you can get really anal with it. I heard that there should be a peak here. This shouldn't be so flat right here. This header needs to be brought back and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, I kept watching other people review it, that there was no lettering between the tail lights. The tail light openings need filed out so the lenses fit. It's just an overall really crappy kit. It isn't great. But I'm going to see what I could do with it. I'm not going to get anal with it and try to fix every last flaw. Like this molding shouldn't be here on the side. I got to be sanded off. I'll probably do that, but, you know, and I'll make the grill fit better, but I'm not going to get anal about every last body detail. Just going to maybe make a super stock drag car, you know, from like 67-ish, or maybe just a street machine out of it. I'm not going to try to make it bone stock because it would just take too much work. In the group build, you're allowed engine swaps, so I'm probably going to swap a better engine into it, and, you know, wheels and tires, but that's about it. So I'll see what I could do with that. This is one of my builds. This isn't part of a group build or nothing. I've shown you this before. The Nova. It's gotten a little further along. I kind of worked on it the past week or so. I got bare metal around the windows. I still got to do the bare metal on these window frames here on the vent windows. It doesn't have a lot of chrome trim, which is thankful. I did the marker lights, bare metaled, and let's get some light on this. There we go. Yeah. Let's see if it'll focus. That's not too bad. Yeah, I've got the transparent orange in there, and on the Novas, that black area usually had an engine depiction, 350 or whatever size engine it had, you know, but they don't have the 250 decals, so it'll just stay black with the orange lens, and then back in the rear, it's just the red. It's really not shown too well. It doesn't want to focus perfectly, but yeah, I did the underside a little bit of light weathering. It needs some more. That engine's not glued in yet because the engine isn't done yet. Painted the fuel tank of the straps. Stuff like that. Let me get the engine out of here. Now, this is the VCG Resins engine, I believe. Not a bad little engine. I could have done better removing those swirl marks out of the casting. You could see them there. I got to put a little breather in there, but it's wired. This little excess wire right here, that's going to go to the coil that's got to be painted and glued to the engine. But I got the starter painted. I got the belt and pulley. I got to put a fan on there. It doesn't come with a fan, so I got to grab a fan out of my parts box. The air cleaner. The carburetors on these things, these VCG engines, is awesome. I mean, the Venturis are there, but you're never going to see it with the air cleaner. Well, I was filing the top of the carb down a little bit lower, and there's a nub on the inside of the air cleaner. Well, it had to be filed. I dremeled it upwards, so the air cleaner will sit down lower, so it'll clear the hood. It's a little, come on, focus, there it is. The air cleaner's a little crooked on there. I don't like the way it's sitting, but it's already glued with crazy glue, and I don't want to break it off and make things worse. The nice thing about the air cleaner, if you look, the snorkel is molded open, which is really nice. So yeah, I kind of rusted up and dirtied the exhaust and intake because the heat there would melt them off. I ignored my painted fingers. Dirtied up the transmission some more, the old power glide. Yeah, I got some little details. Let's come down here. Details done to it. Like I said, I had to cut that cross member, for the transmission to fit in there, like so. And I have to really grind out some of this cross member so the engine would sit down low enough, because initially it sat way too high. Let's come down a little bit. There we go. But I think, yeah, the engine needs a little more. It needs the warm-up tube. That tube that comes from the bottom of the snorkel down to the exhaust manifold that helps the engine breathe warm air in the winter. So I got to put that down there yet. And like I said, I got the spark plug wire. It's going to get heater hoses and radiator hoses and all that, and battery cables once the battery's in. But it's coming along, but the hood will fit. Ta-da. I got to clear the body yet. Once I get the, it gives you emblems for the, decals for the emblems. So I'm going to do that and, panel line wash the door seams. Then once all that's done, I'll wipe it down, make sure there's no fingerprints on it, and then I'll give it the clear. And it looks like metallic red, but it's not. It's just red. And, yeah, so I got that much done. But it's going to kind of go on the back burner because I got a couple group builds to get done. One of them's due, whatchamacallit, 31st. So I'd like to get that done. This is sort of coming along nicely. This is the Sodak naked model, which basically it's almost done. I'm kind of like previewing it early, but it's not glued together entirely. I polished it out, is what I did. It was super bright red. I mean, it glowed. The only thing I didn't like about not painting it was the light came through the roof because it's red. I could have went with the black body and avoided that, but I didn't. I went with the red with the black interior. I added a roll bar cut down from a Camaro. It may not be high enough, but it would give the driver some protection. I made it like one of those classic road racer cars. Those guys that are crazy enough to take classic old cars like this and actually drive them. So what I did, since we weren't allowed to paint, I used a Sharpie marker on the inside. Well, however, that darkens it, so it's nowhere near as bright as it was. It was like super bright red. But like I said, the light came through it, and it made the interior glow from the light coming through. So I pretty much painted the whole inside of the body, let's see here, with the Sharpie. And the rest of it's black parts from the black version of this car. Well, however, you could see here that the Sharpie actually like melted through the plastic. The plastic must be thinner in some places, and you can see how it darkened it. So I figured, hell, it's just going to look like a weathered race car. Because you can see other areas, it's darker, but I couldn't get the marker up to here. Under here, these are decals for the headlights, doors. And yeah, it has like dark and light areas, which kind of made it look dirty. So I gave it some weathering. I'll probably give it a little bit more before I consider it done. But that's what we got. I just kind of went with one of those vintage race cars. The interior, I used some decals from another Corvette kit for the gauges. And it's a black interior, so I just used a Sharpie marker and a Molto pen. So there's no paint. Come on, focus. There we go. And it looks pretty good for what it is for the naked model. Then the chassis is the black chassis. I still got to add some kind of I'm probably going to make them out of solder. Exhaust dumps. Just some straight pipes out the side. I weathered the chassis up a little bit. Weathered the engine. Now, this isn't the engine that came with it. I wanted the orange engine. So, from the Street Fighter, that Chevy panel van, that's the engine from that. With the cross-ram manifold. It's supposed to depict a Z28 engine, which would be appropriate for this kind of car, but I gave it the Corvette ignition shield, which may not matter on a race car as much because they probably wouldn't be listening to the radio. So I may not wire it any. It's already glued in there because the wires you really wouldn't see. They'd come out underneath there and go down to the manifold. So I may stuff them up in there and just make it look wired. I may leave them off. I'll probably put some fuel lines and the radiator lines and all that. Wheels and tires come from the Penske version of this Vet, the 66. And it has these cool decals. They're like gold lettering and gold stripes and big and little tires. So yeah, it just needs a couple little details. Like I said, the exhaust dumps underneath. Maybe some more weathering. Same with the body. And fuel lines and a couple other details. Like in the back here, this is where the exhaust would come out. So I kind of drilled it out because they give you little fake tips to go in there. So it polished out pretty nice. I got to polish it a little bit more. But it's supposed to look like a weathered race car anyhow. But it was quite shiny. I was surprised just how shiny and glossy. See, just for me handling it, it's already dulled down. But it's supposed to be a naked model. So there it is. It's almost done. Technically, it kind of is. I mean, I could glue it together as is and be done with it. But I'll probably add at least a couple fuel lines. And I left the radiator shroud off only because with this engine, come on camera. There you go. It didn't want to fit right. So I still got to put a fan on it and some radiator hoses. It's just going to get maybe some sparse detail because you really can't see that much anyhow once it's in there. But I bare metaled because bare metal was allowed. The window trim, the door handles. The gas cap is from the Penske car too. It's got one of those, let's see if we can zoom in. There we go. It's got one of those racing caps. That's it. Nothing fancy. But I kind of like the look of it. It's coming down a little bit lower. I used some of the decals from the Penske. And then some that were just from my decal sheets. I'll probably weather it up. There's no bumpers. Because I've seen a lot of the race cars didn't have them. And I got the fog lights from the Penske kit, or driving lights, on the front. So, yeah, that's what it is. It's going to be a race car. Got it going for that look. And Deuce is here. Say hi, Deuce. Deuce is always around. He's never far away. And hold on, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to, come on camera. I'm going to show you another project. Be right back. And I'm back. And this is the street machine for the Blue Ox street machine build-off. The 67 Impala. it's been fighting me, chassis interior fit. I mean, the windows, I don't know. You can see that gap at the top of the rear window. It had locating holes. I had it in there. I used the white glue, you know, the clear parts cement. And, I mean, the detail, all this came out nice. But as that glue dried, I think it expanded and it lifted the window, which I probably should have made the mounting holes a little bit bigger. But I didn't. And the front window, it's got the gap too, which it didn't really have when I initially glued it. And then on these, at least on my version, I don't know if it's everybody's, these smokers' vent windows extended like way down here. I mean, they stuck down far. You can kind of see it inside there. I had to Dremel them a little bit upwards so the interior would fit. Now, the interior also, sometimes I despise the multi-piece interiors and all that because I think it makes it harder to assemble. It has little notches for those vent windows, but they're nowhere near big enough to let the interior sit up high enough that the chassis would sit right. Then tonight, I got the interior glued in there and the door lines line up. Well, then when you put the chassis on, you can see how this rear wheel is not centered in the wheel well. And then this side, it's a little closer. So I may have to do something with that, or I may just leave it as is, and it's just going to be a shelf model the way it is, because I don't want to break it off there, trying to straighten it. I may break the locating pins, because right now, the chassis isn't glued on yet. So, I don't know if... Yeah, it's hard to tell just where the problem might be. Yeah, it is back a little further on this side, it looks like. The more I look at it. Because that one's right ahead of that cross member. And this one... Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit back, like the axle's crooked. I could try breaking the joints free and push it forward, but that might turn into a nightmare. Here's the engine. It's still not done. I got some headers for it. I'm probably not going to wire it or nothing. I might put some simulated fuel lines because it does stick through the hood. And I want it to at least look a little decent. This is the engine from the kit. I got some headers from another kit. The engine fits nice in there and sits well. But, yeah, the kit just is driving me nuts. I wish I would have picked something else. Because it doesn't want to sit. Get in there, you. Okay, there we go. I mean, it sits a little high in the front. The chassis doesn't even touch the inner fenders. I have to do some grinding, so I'm probably going to have to clamp it when I go to glue it, and then clamp that. See, it doesn't look too bad on this side. It's got the mismatched wheels. It's got the spiders. But just that one is really far back. So I might be able to, like I said, break that loose and move it forward, or I might be able to cut the locating pins on the frame and the floor and maybe cheat the difference. But it's basically almost done. I'm not going to get anal about it again. I got so many projects on the table. For me to get crazy about all these, it's basically a waste of my life. I'm not going for contest-worthy stuff here. You know, if I am, then those ones I'll get anal about. But these ones, no. You know, I mean, like, how many group builds? I'm about to join another group build with the GTO, and I still got two more. I got the USAC group build, which is due January 15th, I believe, which I'm way behind on that. And what else do I got? Oh, God, it's already been 24 minutes on this. Damn, this is a long video. I didn't expect it to be this long. But anyhow, okay. Well, I'm going to cut it short then here, because it's back to work tomorrow. I've been spoiled, been off 4 days. But I just wanted to update you on some of that. I mean, this is basically a couple fuel lines, windshield wipers, mirrors, and some kind of exhaust system, something basic off the headers, and it's done. I'm not going to go any further with it. It's sort of disappointing. At least what I consider a lot of these kits, these builds, I consider them learning experiences. Okay, now I know that I've built this, and oh, this kit has this flaw or that flaw, and that kit has these flaws, and this doesn't fit real well, and you got to tweak this. So yeah, it's a learning experience, but it'll look nice on my display case next to the others. And like I've said before, none of my friends are model builders or car guys, period. So a lot of them go, hey, that looks cool. They won't know the difference. They'll never notice if I point it out to them. So I'm happy with it. It's not going on a contest table, so it's good enough for who it's for. All right, people. Hey, thanks for watching. Dudes, don't play with the car. That's all I need. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to get ready to go and hit the sack. Back to work tomorrow. Boo-hoo-hoo. But it's only a 3-day week. So hopefully I'll get this thing finished up for the 31st. And it'll be for Jason at Blue Ox's build. And I'll move on to some of these other builds. So good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. And thanks for subscribing. Bye-bye.